Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, and welcome wherever you may be to Unclewazza Reviews The Cokeville Mircle, a 2015 remake movie of an actual event from 1986. Now, this is a true story. So, without further ado, I won't go on. We'll get straight into it and you check it out, and then we'll have it go into it.
What is the capital of Wyoming?
Easy. It's W. Gotta go, Mom.
Love you, Dad.
Ya.
Love you. Be safe at school.
We're holding the school hostage. Don't push any alarms, don't call for help. We have guns. And this is a bomb.
There's a madman here at the elementary school.
Your lives don't mean a thing to me.
Are my kids in there? How could you let this happen?
What's up?
I gotta figure this out.
You can't see what's going on here.
Every adult and every child made it out of that explosion alive.
Unexplainable things happen all the time. You know how I think. I need proof.
Well, then go find your proof.
Anything at all. Anything out of the ordinary.
What I didn't tell you is that there were other people in the room with us.
What other people?
The ones all in white.
Why didn't you tell us about this before?
I knew you wouldn't believe me. Let's say a prayer and pass it on.
Let's say a prayer. Pass it on.
Let's say a prayer and pass it on. Let's say a prayer. Let's say a prayer. Let's say a prayer.
Can't you see? It's all right in front of you.
You want to talk miracles? I'll tell you a miracle.
Alright, as you see, folks, it's quite a heavy story. This is a sort of a hard one to go into. It's a great story, it's beautiful, but it's shocking and true. There's no getting away from this and what happened. Even for me watching it, like, it's on the edge of your seat. Now, this is all true, it's all documented, but it was an event in 1986. Now, the media didn't really cover this, and a lot of you probably wouldn't even heard of it. It was a small story. Part of the reason it didn't get big news was everyone survived, but a lot of people got hurt. So it's not all flowers and roses, basically. And the things that happen, the events that bring this story together, they're just amazing. Some of them are absolutely just crazy how people think. Because the main guy in this, the sheriff you see here, is I think he's Jason Wade, and he's probably the biggest name in this whole movie. I think he's been in something, the Saints and Soldiers, but most of the other actors are first time, or they've been in some small Christian movies or TV stuff, but there's nothing really big in the actors here. But I will say the performances, they are very moving, very convincing, especially the guy who plays David Young. And this guy is he's a crazy genius, the mad scientist The um, the other facts in this story are basically with what this guy is doing. He's basically developed a new explosive, and his testing of it and what he's been doing with it have been 100% successful, basically, which you see in the movie. Now, I don't want to give too much of this away, because that explosion there, that was his final test and 100% test that this was effective. What he had developed was working, okay, and ready to take the next step. But the other horrible thing about this story is the fact that the media wouldn't take it up, because it's hard to interview children that all have the same stories, and they're saying they're seeing angels, dead relatives, and these kids have got scars, burns, like, they survived, okay, they made it, but they didn't make it all in one piece, okay, so you've got to watch this if you think this is just a happy story, because this event, I'm going to also probably put up an interview from one of the kids who's now an adult, and as you can hear from her test, she remembers this vividly, and she's in her 40s now, and this certainly affected the kids and the adults, because he took, I think it was 154 hostages in total, packed them pretty well all into the same room, and I think 136 were kids under 12. Okay, and which makes it even more shocking. But when you see how these kids come together and their faith and their attitude, it's quite amazing. And oh, it's a beautiful story. It's in depth, and I highly recommend this for everyone and anyone. It's a family movie. It also goes in to explore, as you see, the relationship between Jason and his wife, and he is a hard sheriff. Okay, he's a man of faith, but that faith has been dented by the horrible things he sees every day in his job. And for a lot of people, even today, is they sort of question, well, if there's a God and he's so good, why there's so much evil? Why so many bad things happen to people and horrible things happen? And this is where he is at his faith at the moment. And it's getting so bad that it's beginning to affect their marriage and their relationship. He doesn't even want to come to church like here. And his wife, I must admit, is an amazing woman. She's patient, and she's one of those true Christian women. She's not like, well, that's it, I'm out. She's doing what God says, staying with him, praying and all that. But because he's getting so negative, it's starting to affect the kids, especially the son. And even he noticed his dad lack of faith, and it's starting to affect their relationship. It started to permeate through the whole family, and that can't happen. And even his wife says, you need to sort this out because you're destroying us. And in the midst of this goes down. And the ironic thing in this is, I think this father would be like a lot of dads when the kids are in danger. He will move hell or high water, do whatever it takes, and even put his own life on the line to save those kids. And this all ties into the story and how God, it's just amazing. It's the miracles, because that's all even I could say. Even this movie goes in because the FBI and CIA got involved, and they weren't there to help. Anyway, I'm not going to get into it. It makes me angry because all they did was confiscate and take every bit of information and documentation that related to David Young and his experiments and the bomb he created. And that all disappeared. Once they got their hands on it, it became secret. And there was nothing else. Even the two guys that were working with David, unbeknownstly, financing him, They were questioned, all the stuff they had, any knowledge taken, and that's it. And they weren't charged as long as they helped the FBI and CIA and told them everything they knew. And that's about all they really did. And they just put this guy down to a disgruntled man who, because he had tried out for the local police force and he'd been turned down. And now I haven't fully assured, part of that's brought into it, but there was a lot more to it, including David Young's wife. And yes, oh my God, he's married. But it's like so many of these psychos you see that are married or might even have a family, and they've got one life that it appears it's this type of life, yet in the background and behind the scenes they've got a whole different dark agenda and lifestyle. And this plays in with David. He's charismatic, smart, but anyway, I'm going to leave this with you guys to watch. This is a real feels movie. It's a family one, it's beautiful, and it's a good exploration of faith, even for you those that aren't Christians. Again, I'd recommend this because the police officer, Brad here, who plays the father, is that doubting Thomas. So any of you who don't believe, you can watch it from his point of view because he wants evidence. He's not going to just accept it. He doesn't believe this makes sense. There's obviously been mistakes made, things have gone wrong, and he can't attribute it to all being God and miracles. He wants to know what went wrong, what were the facts or contributing factors that went against David Young and this perfect weapon and setup he had, and how on earth or why on earth it would have not worked. And you've even got, he goes to the military guys and other people that know explosive and other things, and the police forensic who actually managed to check a lot of this stuff before it got taken from them, and the FBI and CIA took it and said they would take the case further. And as most of you know, it didn't. Like they didn't care about the kids in the school. All they cared about was this new weapon. But anyway, I'm not going to go into too much of this because this really is a beautiful movie. If you don't believe in miracles, well, then you really need to watch this, because the children, the things with the kids and what they saw and how they acted, and it's just amazing. But then you also look at the families and the love in the families, the support, and even how some of the families were shocked, and it goes through the whole array. And this is a deep one, guys, and it's beautiful. That's all I can say. And the fact that this is a true story, not based on a true story. Okay, you'll get the atheist media and all that trying to say this is based, but it's not. This is actual events, documented events. You can go and check all this stuff. And because the media was portraying this so negatively and saying that some of these kids were obviously traumatized for their events, and they were delusional, and that the bomb gave off gases and stuff, which obviously caused hallucinations. Well, these kids got so peeved off about it that a lot of them, even as they got older, made written statements and testimonies, including putting them on YouTube and stuff, documentaries about what they saw and what they experienced, and they said that these media were absolute liars and belittled their statements, what they believed and what they saw. And half them went and got psychological tests and other tests to show their that they were sound mind and thinking, that they had had a bit of trauma, but nothing that had made them see visions or make up a story like this. And there's no way kids can keep a lie going amongst a bunch of them and it be the same. I think most of you parents would know. Kids always screw up each time they tell a story. And it's the same, but there's what they were adamant about what they saw. And then their stories were verified in other ways, but I won't go into that. This one I could go on. It's beautiful, but I highly recommend that. Uh, I wasn't sure about putting this up, how it might be receptive or how people, because this is a heavy subject. So definitely a big shout out to Sniper Chronicles for confirming this one and encourage me. Much appreciation. And I hope you guys enjoy this. Do check it out. It is a beautiful movie set in a little country rural area. And this is the thing. We all think we're safe. We all think this is never going to happen to us. And when you see this town, these people, you think this is the last place on earth this would happen. Why here? It's a little pissant town, country town in the middle of nowhere. Few people know about. It's quiet. Nothing happens here. That's the sort of place it is. But, and I'll leave you with that. You guys have a great morning, great afternoon, great evening. Look after yourselves. Be safe out there. Thanks for watching and listening. Much appreciated. Big thank you again. You guys take